Thank you for joining me, Jeani, here at Gentle Yoga, 2 p.m. at the ACC Community Room. Today is another day in our spring practice of yoga, helping us hopefully to feel a little more relaxed and just get some strengthening in helping us to stand with balance and just cultivate our bone density. So we're doing all these things in our gentle yoga, and we'll start at the back of the mat. Today's class is a continuation of our weekly class. We've been focusing on osteoporosis, issues of balance, arthritis, all through our practice last couple of weeks. So we're just going to continue. And the weather is a little bit warmer, so keeping that water nearby, keeping hydrated. And we'll go ahead and start at the back of the mat. And as we begin to arrive, you don't have to change the quality of your breath. You're just giving yourself some space to see how you feel, how the mat feels under the feet, how the legs feel while you're standing in your home base of mountain. And as you begin to quiet down, we can start to cultivate our breath and body connection. Go ahead and bring one hand to the chest, one hand to the stomach, and giving yourself the next few breath cycles just to breathe in slowly. Notice how the air is entering the body. Notice how the air is exiting the nostrils. We'll go ahead and give ourselves a little more breath development, bringing the sound of the ocean to the back of the throat. Just pauses in between. And as you hear the sound of the ocean at the back of the throat, we'll stay connected to the ocean breath all throughout our practice, on the mat and off the mat. Go ahead and release the hands to the side. Let's go ahead and start bringing breath and body movement together. Start to inhale in our mountain. Just feel energy lifting, going up the body from the feet, through the legs, through to the top of the head and beyond. And on that exhale, you're slowly returning that energy to the earth. Feeling more rooted, feeling the core engaged at the bottom of the exhale. With the next inhale, we'll start to tip the center of gravity towards the toes at our feet. At the tipping point, right at the toes, hopefully you stop. And then we can start using the next breath to slowly roll towards the heels. The body is somewhat upright, nice and relaxed. And we're just getting that heel to toe movement. Muscle memory identified. And then return to the center. Inhale nice and tall, energizing upwards. Exhale to the right. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale to the other side. Inhaling up and exhaling to either side. Just a couple of breath cycles. And then we'll return to center once that horizontal mapping is identified. Inhale once more in our mountain. And we'll make small circles in one direction. Small circles to larger circles, identifying the perimeter of the feet. We'll go ahead and tighten in the circles and meet at center. Inhale tall. Once more in our mountain, small circles in the opposite direction. And then tighten in the circles. We'll meet at the center. Go ahead and lift the toes, lift the heels. Shake out whatever energy residually is still in the arms and legs, wherever. And then we'll return to our mountain once more and start making small side-to-side movements. You can lift the ball of the feet as your torso moves to one side. You just slowly swaying, swerving from one side to the other. Not exactly sure how to describe this, but your upper torso, it might turn a little more than, say, the lower region. So you might find a little bit of tapping with the hands as you move from side to side. And then peter, let the momentum peter down, slow down to a standstill, and we'll return to our mountain. Just hopefully getting a little bit of movement in the shoulders, ankles, hips. Moving up to the shoulders now. Properly, we'll stand in our mountain, hips distance apart are our feet. Tucking in the tailbone as we move into the shoulder roll exercise. See if you can locate all of the major joints, one right under the other. And with the next inhale, palms facing forward, we lift the shoulders towards the ceiling. Exhale, roll them back and down. Fully exhale, engage the core, draw the belly button to the spine. Inhale up. Exhale back and down go the shoulder blades. Fully exhaled. 2 more breath cycles on your own. See if you can use the ocean breath to help facilitate the release as well as the lift on the inhales. And when you're done with your very last exhale, we're going to repeat another round, but this time, after we inhale the shoulders up, we just roll them forward. Still, the shoulder blades are melting down the back on the exhale. See if you can tuck the bottoms of the shoulder blades into the mid-back at the bottom of that last exhale. And then we'll go ahead, moving up to the throat, jaw. Resetting our mountain once more. Inhale, lift all the way up through the crown of the head. And then just allow the exhale to guide the right ear towards the right shoulder. Left and right shoulder still in one line. We're inhaling to find length. We're exhaling to release. Turn the gaze if you haven't already. And a total of 4 breath cycles here as well, just to find release on the left side of the neck. See if you can breathe deeply. Inflate the lungs. And on the exhale, engage the core fully at the bottom of the exhale. Inhale, bring the eyes, the gaze, the head lifts completely at the top of the inhale so that the exhale guides the left ear towards the left shoulder. Inhale to find length. Exhale to turn the gaze. And with the next 3 to 4 breath cycles, maybe you can find a little more release. On the right side of your neck, or even in the eyes. See if you can gaze at the leftmost of your periphery by that last exhale. Then we can inhale, bring the eyes, the gaze, the head all the way back up, and bring the eyes to rest on the exhale, somewhere at the top of the mat, about 6 feet above. We're not resting the chin on the chest. We've got a good tennis ball size space between the chest and the chin. But still using the deep ocean breath to find energy pulsating through every point of the body and hopefully releasing any tension, any bad stuff in the body with each exhale. And after that very last exhale, go ahead and bring the eyes, gaze, towards the center, past the center, until you can see somewhat above you. We'll rest your eyes there, not craning the back of the neck, feeling that openness in the front of the throat. You can open the mouth, small O to a larger O, but here we're spending 4 breath cycles as well, just exploring any tension that can be relieved in the mouth, the tongue, the jaw, the throat. And after that last exhale, go ahead and bring the eyes back to home, center, the body. Just a nice little bounce, reset in our mountain. And we'll go ahead and start with our modified Sun Salutations. So bringing ourselves to the back. Let's give ourselves one nice deep reach downward. Inhale. Start to bring the extended arms upwards. Lifting up goes the fingers at the top of the inhale. Exhale, engage the core. Start to hinge at the hips. Keep the bend to the knees if you need, and float down to your first fold. Give yourself about 5 good deep breath cycles here. Just want to be able to find that release in the lower back. You can bend the knees more deeply if that helps. See if you can feel that center of gravity somewhere in the hips, over the heels. And release what you can in the upper body. The arms, the neck. Breathe deeply. Maybe you can feel the rib cage expand sideways. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. And then prepare to come out with a slow roll up. Start to engage the feet, the thighs. Start to straighten up the back, one vertebra at a time. Walk the hands up if you need that extra bit of support. Palms facing forward, head stacking on the neck. And just give yourself a breath to let the blood rush back to the head. We'll do that one more time. Inhale deeply. Start bringing the arms upwards. And at the top, we'll lift up and exhale. Engage the core and hinge at the hips to fold. Come on down at your pace. And here we're just folded for about 3 breath cycles, but you can sway the hips from side to side. You can bend one knee and then straighten it, alternately between each leg, just with a little bit of soft exploratory movements. And then let's go ahead and prepare to come out one more time. You can do a slow roll up, or you can extend through the arms. Inhale, engage the core with a strong back. Come all the way back up. Hands come down, heart center, and we begin our modified Sun Salutations. Pressing into the hands, standing weight to the left leg. Lift the right foot, put it down, heel, ball of foot, toes. Fully exhaled. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale, the left foot down. And as we take one breath cycle to move one step forward, we'll meet at the top of the mat. Hands in prayer, in mountain. Looking down at the fingertips, press into the palms. Inhale, watch the fingertips rise for an exercise on purpose. Separate the hands. Exhale, engage the core and hinge. Fold to your fold. At the bottom of the fold, fully exhaled. Let's inhale, press into the fingertips wherever they are. Maybe it's your forearms on the thighs, but lengthen through the back for a half lift. And then exhale, relax the torso back towards the thighs to your fold. Put the hands at either side of the feet. Step a right foot back and a left foot. Maybe a couple of steps back. Lengthen the legs. Inhale, shoulders over the wrists. Bring the knees down and come into your modified high plank. Make adjustments for your wrists if you need to. You want your shoulders somewhat above your wrists or maybe a little bit behind your wrists. But we're not dumping too much weight into the knees. Shins and tops of the feet are helping to support the bottom of our body while the top is supported by extended arms, nice and strong. Inhale, let's tuck the toes, lift up the hips. Exhale, press the hips back to your down dog.
Heels are lifted or moving towards the floor, or maybe they're on the mat. But wherever you are, you're in an upside down U or V shape, moving eventually to a V, taking about 5 full breath cycles here. Lengthen through the arms down to the hands, through the legs down to the feet, and lift up through the hips. Point the tailbone up. Try to get that apex upside down V, lifting while the hands and the feet are moving, rooting towards the floor. One more inhale, let's look to the hands. Bend the knees deeply if you need to, and walk the hands to the feet, to the back of the mat at the fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Lengthen through the back and the legs best you can. And exhale, fold. Slide back towards the mat. Inhale, engage the core, press into the feet. Come up slow, roll up, or strong straight back with the inhale. All the way back to mountain. Hands above. Hands down, heart center. Second modified Sun Salutation. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale, the right heel, ball of foot and toes down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale it down. If you feel wobbly, engage the core, press into the palms. If you fall out, it's okay. Come on back when you can. We meet at the top of the mat. Inhale, look at the hands, press into the palms, watch them rise. Separate the palms, exhale, hinge and fold. Fully exhaled at the bottom. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands. Step a left long leg. Inhale, high plank, strong from the shoulders down to the hands, heels to the crown of the head, and the belly button is sticking to the spine. Engage your core. Inhale, lift up the hips. Exhale, press back into the down dog. Make 3 full breath cycles. Your best down dog. So give yourself just a little bit more time. See if you can get another good stretch of a down dog here. And then inhale, look to the hands. Bend the knees if you need. Walk the hands to the back of the mat, to the fold. One last time. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on up, your choice. Exhale, hands down, heart center, and finally down to the sides. Let your breath catch up. Drink a little water if you need. And we'll meet in mountain for our balancing pose. Let's go ahead and bring this down. And you can come into mountain with feet together or hips distance apart. Feet together is a little more challenging. Imagine if they are together, that your inner thighs are moving in towards the center so that you're pressing in towards that big toe, towards the inner arches, and then smoothing out the even distribution of weight at the soles of the feet from there. Now, when I first started in yoga about 20 years ago, my legs were very bold out. It was difficult to stand with even 2 inches between my feet. So if you are more comfortable with hips distance apart, feel free. This is just something that traditional yoga does, having the feet together. But that does bear a little bit of challenge for people with tight hips, so be aware of that. So hips distance apart, unless you want that extra challenge of feet together. We're just going to bring the hands above our head with the next inhale. Go ahead and inhale. Bring the hands out, thumbs are up, and start to see where you can bring those hands, palms together or palms just facing each other. I'm going to move my mic, hopefully, so it doesn't get buried in my neck. But take an inhale, stretch up, see if you can lengthen through the legs. We're not wanting to hyperextend through the knees, but just stretch up. If you can feel like you've got your knees stacked on top of the
Shin bones on top of the ankles. Should feel pretty good. We'll go ahead and bring the palms somewhere either above our heads or out in front, and then bring the hands down heart center, and then just let them glide to the side. Let them release. You might just let them dangle. See if you can release the tops of your shoulder blades by just letting the arms dangle. And then coming back to our mountain, resetting the mountain once more. Once those even distribution of weight on the feet feel like you're not curving out or curving in, nice and even distribution of the feet, the soles of the feet, we'll go ahead and inhale, bring the arms back up. See if you can touch the palms above your head. If you can't, go ahead and keep that space in between. This time, we're going to intertwine the fingers if you can. If not, just keep your hands separated. But we're going to lean over towards the right. Keep that left sole of the foot planted. You're going to stop where you naturally need to stop. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale, let the hands float down, heart center, or flutter down, whichever. But release through the tops of the shoulder blades. You can even just swerve, just roll the shoulders alternately if you need. But try to release that residual activation of those muscles at the tops of your shoulders. One last time, inhaling, arms above us. If you can touch hands and grasp the fingers. Once more, we're going to lift up. If not, just keep reaching, and then come on over to the left side. Right foot is planted. We're not hyperextending our knees, hopefully, but feel as if you're just stretching, and your body just stopped where it naturally would. One more inhale. We bring it all the way back up to center, and exhale, hands down heart center, and then just let them glide, float, flutter down to the sides. You can try to just turn from side to side a little bit. See if your arms are nice and noodle relaxed, wet noodles at the sides. And then we're coming into chair. So I'm going to move to the side just to give you a perspective of how this should look. But in our mountain, we stand just like we were before, reaching upwards. And if you need to put the hands out in front of you a little bit, you can do that. But lift up, feel that lifting upwards, and then just sink into the heels. If your hands are out here, that's fine, but you may want to tuck under the tailbone a little bit and see if you can lift your toes and feel that center of gravity in the hips. Sometimes the hands out here, it's kind of like a little counterweight to the gravity of the heels and the hips back here. So it's a little different when the hands are straight up as opposed to here. Let's go ahead and inhale to straighten and do what you need to with your arms. Sometimes this helps, but we're spending a lot of time with our shoulders, our arms activated above our heads. So try to release as we move. One more chair. And in this chair, we're going to come up to our toes. So if you want that heel support and you're working on that, keep it nearby. Otherwise, just do your thing. And one more inhale to bring the arms up. Exhale to just sink into your chair. Feel the hips are right over those heels. If you're not sure, lift up the toes. Give yourself another gentle under tuck of the tailbone. See if your core is engaged. And then we're going to inhale, roll to the tiptoes best that you can. If you have that block there, you're just going to step one heel back and then step the other heel back. And try to lift up and not use as much of your heel weight on the block. And that'll help you to develop. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, bring the hands down and walk off the block or lower the heels. Now, that might be a little strenuous there, so give yourself a chance to release any residual activated muscles. You can jiggle the knees, you can bounce a little bit. Just give some sort of alternate opposite motion to the hold that we had. And hopefully that signals to your body to release. And eventually, as you do this more and more, you learn to just turn off that activation instead of holding on to it all day long. So we are moving into the floor. So we're going to come on down to hands and knees in a goddess squat. But if your squat is, if your hips are tight, your knees and ankles need a little bit of support before you make your way down to a squat, bring these blocks nearby. What I suggest doing is if you know you have issues of coming down, you can come down with a fold first, have the blocks nearby. And then we're going to have the feet turned out just a little bit. Toes are just pivoted outwards a little bit. And we just start to come up on the balls of the feet, and the heels may lift. If you can rest your hips on your heels, you can use the blocks to help release some of that weight on your heels if you need. You can bring the knees down if you need at some point. We'll be moving from this goddess squat to our hero in just a point or two. So wherever you need to get up and get comfortable, if this is too much, just sit in easy seated position if you need to, and join us when you can. But here, we're in a squat. We're going to bring our knees down because we've been in a squat for a while. Go ahead and bring the hands down and untuck the toes. If your feet are a little farther apart than usual, because we came out with pivoted feet, we're going to bring the heel-toe alignment straighter and then bring the knees and the feet in one alignment so we can start to bring the hips downward. You may need that blanket, you may need the block, but we're just going to sit in our hero pose after that. Hips are on the heels in our hero. The legs, the knees can be separate, they can be together. Just do the best that you can. And if you can sit upright and straighten the torso at that point, just breathe 2 to 3 more breath cycles here. And again, if you need to get up, you can always lift up and sit your hips on the floor. You can lift up and make your way to an easy seated position if that's more comfortable. So here in our hero, let's go ahead and lift up. Bring the knuckles, the fists to the side to help lift up the hips. Walk the hands in front of you. Go ahead and tap out the feet if you need. Tuck the toes one more time. And give yourself that nice little stretch at the arch. And then we're going to untuck the toes, tap them out. And as you have your weight on the shins, we're going into a fixed fern position. So we just want to open up our heels just a little bit. The knees come a little closer to each other. Lift up the knee if you need to move it closer to the other. And they can touch or they can be about an inch apart. But eventually we start to bring the heels and hips back together again. And again, use whatever prop you need to make that distance. This time we want the hips to sit somewhat inside the inner heel area. They can still be on top of the heels if you need, but see if you can get them just to be maybe a little cradled by the heels. And our inner thighs are moving. They're moving inward as we're in this position to give us space for the hips and for the knees to be at this triangular sort of position with the feet sticking out like a pizza slice, I guess. Make your adjustments as you need. Always lift up as you need to make adjustments. And you can always, you don't have to sit on the heels. You can always sit on the block too. All these little modifications as your body is learning to reposition its joints. Alrighty, as we come out, you'll want to bring your hands to each side of the leg and start to lift up by pressing into the hands and walking the hands forward, using your shins, your hands, and then we'll make our way onto our belly. We're going to practice a version of Cobra. So if being on the belly means you'd like to have some support for your hip bones or your chest, go ahead and bring down the blankets as you need. And as we move on to the belly from a standing position, from a flexed hip sitting position, it just feels very nice to support the hips. So you can rest your head and allow the hips to just feel supported for a moment. If you like your face to be turned and supported by the mat, just remember to give yourself equal time on the other side of the face. We'll press into the chest and the pubic bone to simply lift the head gently, a little bit, turning the head to rest the other cheek. Notice if any shoulders are lifted. That's usually indication of tight shoulders, neck, etc. See if you can exhale and let the shoulders relax onto the mat. All right, and then we'll move into our Cobra. So bringing the face back into center here, we're just going to bend our elbows and start to walk the fingertips upwards. Now we're not coming into a Sphinx position yet, so we don't bring the elbows down, just the fingertips to about where your shoulder height is. So right about there, we're going to rest our hands, and hopefully you feel like those elbows aren't splaying out, but they're close to the rib cage. We want the rib cage and the shoulders to be nice and relaxed, but to be in this sort of initial form. What you'll be doing is pressing down on the hands and pulling like we do in our Sphinx, but we'll be doing that with our Cobra position of the chest still on the floor. So the legs are kind of relaxed here, and we're going to zip up our legs. Bring the inner thighs and the inner arches of your feet together if you can. If that's not comfortable for you, you can always keep your feet apart. But in our traditional Cobra, the legs are together. So unless they're uncomfortable, keep them apart. But now keep them together and press into the hands, and the elbows move down the mat as if they're moving that direction, and as if you're pulling with the palms with that friction. And when you do that, you inhale, pressing through long legs and lengthening from the tailbone through the spine, chest, through the crown of the head. And you just simply press forward and then peel up the shoulders. Exhale, roll the shoulders back down, release the arms, back of the hands on the side, and rest the opposite cheek once more. If you started with the left cheek, start with the right cheek. We're just going to do that one more time. But now you have a little more of the process outlined for you, so hopefully it'll give you a better Cobra. So with the next one, we'll go ahead and press into our chest, turn our gaze so it's centered. Bring the fingertips back to right about the shoulder, elbows close to the rib cage. We're going to inhale, lengthen through our legs, press through our hands, and start to lift through our torso, lengthening and then lifting at the shoulders. You can press through the hands. You can lift the hands. See if you can maintain that lift. And then exhale. Return the face to the mat and turn the gaze. Release the arms and let the back of the hands relax. Any tented shoulders, see if you can exhale and just let it float to the mat. All right. And then next we'll move into our Locust Pose. So bringing the face, hovering the nose and the mouth somewhat above the mat. We're going to have now the legs, the feet are going to be a little bit apart. You're going to point them towards maybe the back of the mat, wider than your hips distance stance, but maybe not each corner of the mat. You don't have to have your legs splayed that much, but just have them where they're no longer zipped up like one long leg, but they're two legs now. And keeping the arms, palms down, arms extended to the side. If a T is too much for you, bring them on down about 15 degrees lower. You can have something like this, like you're flying through the air instead. So here we go with the next inhale. We're just going to lengthen our limbs. So point the toes, point the palms, bring the fingers in the palms together, and just point them down the floor. Do the same thing with the tops of the feet and the toes. You don't have to point your toes too much. You might, pull a muscle or something, but just keep them nice and long. Okay, then exhale, release. Take another deep breath. We're going to inhale now, lengthen, and then at the exhale, I want you to try to lift just the hands and the feet. See if you can do that. See if you can press into your belly and your chest and lift a little higher. See if your hands and your knees can come out. And now we're looking straight down. And if your toes start to cramp, just wiggle your toes or bring your feet down if it's too much. And then exhale, bring the feet down first and then the hands and then the chest. And then you can rest your head in an opposite position than it was before. Okay, one more inhale. We're going to bring the legs together and then let them roll away. Be nice and relaxed. Bring the hands, walk the hands out in front, and you can rest your chin or your nose, mouth on the mat. If you're resting your chin, hurts your neck. But we're just going to extend the arms forward as best that you can, nice and flat. If you can roll your palms flat onto the mat, go ahead and do so. If they need to be on the side, go ahead and do so. If you can have the palms facing up, go ahead and do so. But see how that stretches the lower part of your shoulder blades, right at those points that we're mentioning that I note at our warm-ups. See if you can get those shoulder blades to move right at the bottom points, away from the spine. And that can be done by simply moving the position of your palms. And just get a slight, a bit more protraction of the shoulder blades, a movement away from the spine. Then go ahead and relax the arms once more and see if you can bring your palms to touch out in front of you somewhere. If it's too much for the shoulders, you can lower the elbows. And then if it's too much to bring the palms, you don't have to. You could just bring the palms to the back of your head. We're eventually, hopefully, making our way to bringing the hands behind the head with as much of the back of your upper arms onto the mat. It just gives a nice stretch to the shoulder girdle, to the armpit, to the triads, to the delts, to the backs of the shoulder, to the muscles on the back of the shoulder blades. Your trapezius, your rhomboids, those deep muscles underneath the shoulder blades. It's just getting a nice stretch. Okay, go ahead and release the hands. Bring them back down. And we'll make our way onto our back. If you have a favorite way of doing that, and of course, I like to sometimes extend an arm and just roll. If you can do a reverse modified push-up or just roll fetal position on the side, however it is that you're most comfortable rolling onto your back, we'll meet in a base bridge position. In here, we're going to want those landing pads so the blocks can be strategically placed. We'll have a nice long spinal twist with a long leg. So if that's comfortable for you, you can always bend your knee, and you don't have to have a straight spinal twist if you don't want one. But keeping those blocks somewhere, either in a long leg or a bent leg position, so that it can receive it as you twist over. So making sure that the spine is in alignment with the neck. And the sacrum, you can roll from side to side. Just gives you that idea of where the center might be. You can lift up the tailbone. You're tucking under the tailbone. And then you can roll down the tailbone, and that'll give the lower lumbar area a little lift under here. You'll get a little space at the lower back. Do that a couple of times. Flatten out that space, roll under the tailbone, and then roll down the tailbone. Roll it out like you have a tail or something. Lift up arch up the back. And then you'll find hopefully what feels like center. A nice relaxed sacrum, a little bit of a lift in that lower back. And then we'll go ahead and inhale. Start with the left leg, extending through the left. If you like a strap in your spinal twist, go ahead and grab that. You can also use just your hand or the material on your legging, material pant. So inhaling, we'll bring either the loop over the ball of the foot, and you'll use one arm, the left arm, as an anchor, or the right arm. See what works best for you, but we're twisting to the right, so sometimes it just depends. But when you have that strap in your hand, you can go ahead and extend through the right leg. You're going to have to give yourself a minute or two, see how that feels. If it's highly tented and you're feeling really tight in this right hip area, just give it a couple of gentle, slow bounces, that right knee, and it might release a little more so that you can relax the right calf on the mat and it doesn't feel like it's too tight here in the right hip. Give yourself some time to unwind. And once you're ready, we're going to get a hold of the strap, find one of the arms for our anchor point, and start to inhale as we roll over to the right side. You may need an arm to help roll the body. You might need the strap to help bring it over. You might do a number of positions until you find that sweet spot. We want to make sure we're not pinching any skin, and just give the time, the space for the body to open up. Okay, that's where I am today. Just notice how you feel. And as you find that landing spot, we're still giving ourselves about 3 more breath cycles to fine-tune our final position of spinal twist to the right. We might need to reposition the block. We may need to keep our left shoulder lifted. Or we may find that the left shoulder floats back toward the mat. But as you find your final positions of the feet, the hands, remember palm position also can sometimes help. The face turns in the opposite direction of your spinal twist. So maybe even the eyes with that very last exhale. You can find the leftmost of your periphery and breathing at that sweet spot. 3 to 5 breath cycles here. With each successive exhale, you may find release occurring in parts of the body you hadn't realized you were holding. After your very last exhale, you'll start to come out of your spinal twist. If your face is turned in the opposite direction, turn the gaze to be centered with the chest. After that, you can start to bring your hands to help get a hold of your leg. If you need that extra support, use one hand, use both. Inhale, start to roll back onto the mat, onto the back. Allow the left foot to land. And then you can bend the right leg. Bring that right foot back into the base bridge position. Make sure your spine is aligned with the neck. And the sacrum is nice and flat and supported. And give yourself a deep windshield wipe to one side, to the left. Stay there for 2 breaths. 2 breath cycles, inhaling and exhaling.
Inhale, bring the knees back up. Bring the sacrum back slowly. Exhale, let the knees slowly fall to the other side. And stay there for 2 breaths. We're only rolling from edge of the feet. We're not moving any position of the feet other than rolling from edge to edge in the windshield wiping. After your last exhale, you can inhale, knees back up, sacrum fully on the mat. And we'll move to the other side. Our spinal twist to the left. So getting ready, make sure your base bridge position is good. Spine is in alignment with the neck. And bringing now the right foot to extend. Use the strap if you like. Use your material if you like, your leg material. But give yourself some breath cycles to get that right leg extended comfortably. We're moving towards a 90-degree angle, but it might be more at a 45-degree angle, 50, 60-degree angle. That's okay. But just give yourself some time. The strap might help you at the ball of the foot to kind of lengthen. You can press out through the heel. You can use the material. You just grab a hold of the thigh. Whatever is working for you. If you're really turned out, notice that. See if you can lift the leg and turn in gently. We're not forcing the internal rotation of your leg. Just notice if you're really turned out, it's a great time to lift up and just simply encourage the internal rotation of a natural position. You can press through your right pad of the right big toe if you need. All right. And if you're ready there, we're going to extend through the left leg. Give yourself again a few breaths here to find out the state of your left leg. You might need to make some adjustments. Sometimes it's just about letting the body unfold and relax. A couple of breaths. Gentle bounce of that knee. And you're pretty much as relaxed as you can be on that left leg. The left calf is hopefully somewhere nearer to the mat. And here, we'll do the same thing. Determine which arm is going to be a support anchor to help push you gently over to the other side to guide you. It may be that you need both. Might be the other hand. So inhaling might be the strap. Inhaling with the strap over there, we can bring it over. We can use this right arm to gently guide us over. And then we see how our spinal twist works out on this side. So here, my right shoulder lifted more comfortably than the other side. So I'm not going to discourage that. I'm going to allow for that and then just find that sweet spot and make the adjustments with the hands and the feet and eventually the gaze. That's all about 3 to 5 more breaths. And this side might be completely different from the other side. No landing pad here for me. But there is more of a tight shoulder for me on this side. So my right shoulder is lifted. Just something to think about. Sometimes one side is more favored and that becomes apparent somewhere along the road. Okay, and from this point, you should be able to breathe 3 to 5 good deep breath cycles. See if you can soften your gaze. Just let the ocean breath make you feel like you're floating on the ocean. When you are done with your last breaths, to come out, bring the gaze in line with the chest. Start to bring the hands into position to help guide the body back. Inhaling, we can help guide
the leg and the back rolls onto the mat, and bring both feet and knees into your base bridge position once more. Make sure the spine and the neck are in one alignment. Bring the sacrum, the pelvic bowl, directly into the underneath. And when you're there, feet are about hips distance apart. Just let the feet roll to the right edge. And let yourself have a nice deep windshield wipe to this side. You might find yourself with more of your legs approaching this right side. Couple of breaths here. You can inhale, help guide the knees, legs back up, sacrum back onto the mat. And then go ahead and lengthen. Prepare for your Shavasana on the back. Bringing a blanket to cover you, allowing the feet to roll away from each other. Just straighten them out and then relax them. Let them be where they are. Hands can be at your side, palms facing up. And just for the next 5 minutes, allow the body to respond to today's practice. I'll be sitting upright to mind the time. And when you hear the 3 bells, we'll awaken from Shavasana. bringing the mind and body back together again. Take note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. Feel the belly rise with each breath and fall with each exhale. As you wake up and reconnect to the body once more, go ahead and move the fingers, toes, rock in the knees, get yourself a little back massage in the meantime, or just roll to one side in fetal position. We'll meet back in an upright position, easy seated. You can be in staff. We're going to end today's class with our breath of fire exercise. It's just something to help energize us, keeps the fire stoked, and is just good yoga medicine. So we'll go ahead and prepare. And we've done breath of fire a few times in this class, but just as a reminder, on the inhale, we're just trying to get that nice, slow, deep inhale at that beginning first breath so we can kind of have it caught in the upper cavity of our chest. It's, just kind of getting all this energy pumped up. And then the first blowout is through pursed lips. As we do that, hold, and then we blow out 10 times. What you'll do is you'll end up pressing with the belly, so that you're not even really consciously thinking about the inhale. It's more about the pressing of the belly, the bellowing of the belly to get the air pressed out through pursed lips and teeth. And in that way, you're like getting a lot of energy cultivated in the belly. And it also is just really working the entire ab area, your transverse, your obliques, everything, and the pelvic floor. It's a great way on the inhale to lift, remind yourself to lift the pelvic floor. It's almost as if you're holding that urination flow. And then on the exhale, you just relax, and you'll find that everything just loosens, and you may feel a little bit of a tingling in the lips, but that's okay. So we're going to prepare, sitting nice and upright. Take a deep breath in. And then pursing the lips, we'll go through a set of 10, starting now. And on that 10th one, it's a slow exhale. Hold it, and then release. Let yourself breathe naturally. And we'll do a second set. After the 10, the 10th one is that slow exhale. I'm sorry, I forgot to remind you. So with the next inhale, we'll have a nice tall inhale. Hold it in there. Starting now. Press all the air out, stick the belly button to the spine, engage the core, lift the pelvic floor, hold the breath, and then release. Let the breath return to its natural state. And bringing the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me here at ACC's Community Room for Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. Thank you so much. Namaste. Happy spring!